Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome to another Birds of 3 video. Today is June 5th. The Path of Exile Legion patch notes, item filter, and passive transformation are now out. So I just want to do a quick blind read through. I just pulled this up. Haven't been around lately as much, and I want to get some of this stuff out there. Just see if anybody wants to go through it with me. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pretty much just go through and read the full patch notes here, and see what we like, what we don't like. See if there's anything that pops out or anything that seems cool. I really like going over this stuff and see what's going to be forward looking to in the next league, which will be out Friday, which would be 2 days from now, the 7th, I believe. All right, cool. So let's just kind of get into it here a little bit. We got the item filter information for all the new gems. So if you wanted to go ahead and make those, pop up different on your item filter, so you don't miss any of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 active skill gems, 11 new gems. Steel skin, I remember seeing something like that somewhere, sort of similar to like a molten shell kind of thing a little bit. Dash, probably is the new, I would imagine one of the new movement speeds. Blade Storm, not too sure. Blood and Sand, or Berserk, those kind of seem like the like the Blood and Sand Storm, that Blood and Sand forms, and the Berserk form for the new Berserker and for the new Gladiator, I think it is. Chain hook, I think I've seen video of that. That's like a new movement skill. Kind of looks like throws a chain out, hits an enemy, and it pulls you there. So another movement skill. I know they're trying to put some more movement skills in this one. Perforate, not quite sure. Frost Blink, not quite sure. Precision, Flesh and Stone, not sure what some of those are. As far as support gems here, we have Rage, which might go with some of the Rage stuff of the Berserker now. With the Rage stacking, not sure. Maybe it's Rage, like maybe it gives you Rage if you don't. I don't know. Pulverize, Shockwave. Oh, Close Combat. I mean, just from that alone makes it sound like it's almost like the opposite of like a long shot or whatever it is for the bow classes, where you get more damage at range. This might give you more melee damage if the enemy's closer to you, which can be kind of cool. All kinds of new currencies, so gem cutters, mysterious, time lost, fossilized. So the incubators, I believe, are like almost like gems. I believe you would put them in. I believe that you put them in like your secondary slots, so you put them in item sockets on your gear somewhere, and as you kill enough things, they become an item. So you could get some sort of cartographer chisel probably, or some map stuff, maybe fossils here. Diviners get you some div cards, so you get the fossils. Abyssal, maybe get some abyssal items. Fragment, I'm not sure what you get there. Fragments, I haven't played POE in a while. I've been playing Diablo, so my head's not quite there. Can't remember everything. Geomancer, not sure. Armorsmith, Blacksmith, Jewelers, whatever these are. Maybe, I don't think they would give you like transmogs, but yeah, never really know. Eldritch for like elder items, not sure about Obscured or Foreboding. Thaumaturg, I can barely even say that word. Gem Cutter, maybe for some like quality weapons. Currencies, other stackable currencies, Timeless, Karuri, Marketh, Eternal, Temple, Vol, Karuri, Marketh, Eternal, Templar, and Vol. Yeah, I'm not sure what all those are. It's also, how many new div cards here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I remember seeing some of these that they put out before. There was the double corrupt tabula rasa, I believe, for the primordial. I think it was. Maybe it's not, but I remember seeing something like that, or it was a double corrupt for like a Fidelis spike or something like that. So some of these, I always love it. More div cards are cool to me. Like more fun stuff to get. Maps and tiers. So these are all the new. Oh, this is cool. So you'll be able to see what tier all the maps are. Sulfur Vents, I like that at a tier 1. That one was a little annoying. I believe it was tier 6. I like Haunted Mansion a lot. That's a pretty nice one. You can kind of do a lap around. It's not huge and open, but the density is always pretty good, I think. They're packed nicely. Desert, Ivory Temple. Relic Chambers is a tier 3. Nothing there pops out at me. I like the Wharf map. Ashen Woods was nice and open. Crater, lower map. I think that one had one of the harder bosses. I think that. Can't quite remember that. I like Fields map, nice and open. City Square, nice and open. Channel, Beach, Easy, Strand. So those are some good ones. And then these are the unique ones, Couch Island. Wakawaru, if I say that right. Nothing too crazy. Primordial Pool. Phantasmagoria, I like that map. Maze isn't bad for the Emperor's Luck card, I believe. Would give you the 5 random currencies. Race course is cool. It is like 3 circle or oval race course, but look more like they use them for looks like a old like chariot races kind of thing. Observatory, waterways. Waterways isn't bad. I don't mind these. Mostly looking at ones I don't like. Like Iceberg is a real quick map. I don't like it because the map and the map itself is colored white, so your mini map overlay is white and you can never quite see it all. Toxic Sewer Estuary. Villa, I think I didn't like that map. I don't remember why. Port, I don't think I remember it. I don't think I like that one. Temple. I like that they swap up a lot of these tiers too, because if you're somebody that doesn't play as hardcore and you've never actually gotten through all the maps and you kind of just burn out early on, you get to see some of them, some of the ones you haven't seen before, which is kind of cool. Carcass, I remember that one was being a bitch, I think. Core, I think that was a bitch too. Did some damage, hard damage. Lava Lake, I like that. We haven't seen... Maybe we did and I missed it. What's the one that can drop the doctor card? That's Burial Chambers. Here's Burial Chambers. Burial Chambers is now a tier 5 map. Okay. Why is my fine still going on? Okay, cool. More stuff you guys can all check out. So that's just all the stuff for, basically just for item filter. Here is all the patch note stuff, so we can quick go through all some of this stuff. No, there's been they've teased out the leaks for the Gladiator and the, I keep saying Gladiator, maybe it's Slayer Ascendancy. Not the one of the dual Ascendancies got out there, and one of the they put out one for the Marauder Ascendancy for the Rage, and I think the Chieftain one too. So there's some of those out there on their Facebook and on their page, and you can find them out there now. It's kind of cool, but I don't think this is going to give you all of that stuff out there. We can go ahead and just give a quick read through and see what they talk about. Legion Challenge League. Sounds like a great opportunity, fresh start, new economy. All that's awesome. Challenge League, you encounter monoliths as you journey across raid class. Touching one of these monoliths will reveal ancient armies frozen in the midst of battle. Shatter the magical bonds to keep the warriors locked in time, but do so quickly because the monolith's revealing effects are brief. When the effect ends, the soldiers you released will continue their battle and even turn their violent attention to you. Defeating these soldiers in combat will earn you great rewards, and if you're lucky, splinters you may later use to access the domain of timeless conflict. I've seen people say it's very similar to like a breach kind of thing. You touch the monolith, I believe it's arcing outward, and all the enemies are frozen. You get to start killing things. And then whatever you kill, it looks like, from what they said here, monolith's revealing effects. When the effect ends, the soldiers you released, which sounds like killed in the time lore, will continue to battle, and then you can actually kill them, and get some sort of splinters and some loot from them. Combining splinters into emblems, or placing 2 more emblems in the map device, you can visit the domain of timeless conflict. Here you'll witness and battle the armies whose emblem you have used. So, it kind of reminds me too of like ancient Chinese dynasties or something like that. Like there's all these different factions doing massive scaled war, and you just kind of get in there and check out which one here based on the splinters you get, and get different loot based on it, based on what you kill. Powerful new jewels, drastically alter your passive screen. Drastically alter your passive skill tree from each of the 5 legions, as well as new unique items and brand new items, type of item, incubators. Oh, here's the incubator actual description. Incubators can be applied to any equipment and will remain there until you've slain enough monsters to reveal what lies inside. There are many different types of incubators to find. So yeah, it looks like you can get like map-related incubators, drop some map items. You look like you get ones that will drop currency maybe, or fossils or stuff like that. New Challenge League, 40 new challenges, 12 challenges will give you the Monolith Crown and attachment. When you reach 24, you'll get the Monolith Aura effect. At 36, use the Monolith Wings, and these microtransactions are only obtainable in this league. Cool. Major new content. I'm having a hard time today. Major new content and features. Overhauled melee combat. Amongst other improvements, skill rebalances, and reworks, we've added the ability to cancel animations early, improved damage signaling, and changed early monster balance. So, from what I've seen from other stuff too, so you can now, if you're stuck, a big thing that's always bothered me, I like playing melee a lot, you can get stuck in a multi-strike animation where your characters, you multi-strike, your skill repeats 2 times, so in total you're swinging 3 times, And if you see some damage coming at you and you've only swung once, you have to wait for that animation to finish. But that is no longer. Now you can ditch out early if you want to and get out of the way of a big hit from a monster. So it seems like there's a lot more changes to. They said there's a lot more changes to early monster battles. So I read that too somewhere. So like more signaling of harder hits, but make it. It seems like they're kind of focusing on the ability to dodge, physically have your character move out of the way of some of these damage attacks that the enemies do, but also to have them come at you. Sorry, there's a cat here. Hey, buddy. Have you? I'm sorry. So like change some of the early monsters to be more challenging now that they are focusing more on the physical dodging of moving your character out of the way. Add a new dex dash. Perform a series of quick teleports toward a target location. Using the attack and place option, the direction is reversed. Series of quick teleports toward a targeted location. If using attack and place option, the direction. So that's jump, so you can dash away. Okay. Added a new strength skill gem, Blade Storm. Perform a spinning attack, creating an area of effect that repeatedly deals attack damage to enemies within based on your weapon. Within it based on your weapon. Damage and attack speed. This area of effect will stationary in blood stance. Move forward while in blood stance. Requires sword or axe. I butchered that, like I've been butchering all this, but it's sort of like a cyclone kind of thing. Area effect that repeatedly deals enemies based on your weapon damage and attack speed. Area effect stationary while in blood stance and moves forward while in sand stance. Okay, so sort of like a less controlled cyclone, if you will, now. Blood and sand. Allows you to switch between blood stance and sand stance. Deal more melee damage with less area of effect in blood stance, or gain more area of effect while dealing less melee damage while in sand stance. Reserves a small portion of your mana. Small portion to me sounds like 10%, if I had to guess. Maybe 5, but I would doubt anything less than 10. The banners, like the new war banners they put out last league or 2 leagues ago, or 3, I can't honestly remember. Those ones, I believe, reserve 10% of your mana pool, so I wouldn't see them going less than that. Got Berserk here. Yep, consume your rage at an accelerating rate. While active, grants more damage, attack speed, movement speed, and causes you to take less damage. Requires 5 rage to use. Cannot be stopped once active, and only stops when all rage is consumed. So, again, if you've ever played any of the Berserker stuff where your rage, this will consume your rage. So it looks like your rage doesn't degen necessarily now, but you might have to consume it to get the effects. Not quite sure. We'll have to see how that comes out when it comes out, whether your rage stacks naturally deteriorate or if you only lose them when you can use the Berserk skill gem. Frostblink. Deal cold damage in an area. Let's get that up there. Around your location, leaving chilling ground around you. Teleport to a target location. Has a cooldown that is reduced based on your number of nearby enemies, when cast. So deal cold damage in an area around your location. Leave chilled ground around you. Teleport to a targeted location. Almost sounds like a lightning warp? Not lightning warp. Charge dash. Similar to that is what it sounds like, except for cold. Deal cold damage area around you, leaving chilled ground, and then you teleport. So you're dealing cold damage, then you teleport. Might not necessarily be a channeled skill, but it's kind of cool. Precision. Cast an aura that reserves a portion of your mana and grants you and nearby allies accuracy and increased critical strike chance. That's kind of cool. So for if you're trying to squeeze a little bit more crit out of somebody or make a crit damage or a crit class on something you can't quite get all the stuff out of, it helps out a little bit with that accuracy and that crit strike chance. Flesh and Stone. Cast an aura that reserves a portion of your mana. Causes nearby enemies to be maimed while in blood stance and those enemies to take increased physical damage. While in sand stance, this aura causes nearby enemies to be blinded and causes enemies not affected by the aura to deal less damage to you. So if they're blinded, and if they aren't blinded, they're dealing less damage. That's kind of nice. Alright, what do we got here? Pride. Cast an aura that reserves a portion of your mana. Cast nearby enemies to take more physical damage, increasing damage to take the longer they are affected by the aura. That's cool. So they increasing the damage to take the longer they are affected. I wonder if there'll be a cap on that. That would sound busted if you could just have an infinite scaling damage on somebody that just increases more and more over time. So just make somebody extremely tanky and just hope and get that aura on them for so long that they've taken so much damage that it doesn't matter what you do, you basically kill them. Which is kind of cool. Even if it does have a target, still kind of a nice to help you squeeze out some of your damage on some of your tankier builds or some of your high leech builds. Perforate. Strike the ground with your weapon, causing spears to strike out from the earth. These spears strike your target location multiple times while in blood stance, and strike outwards in a large radius from the target location while in stance. Requires sword or axe. Kind of sounds like ground slam a little bit. I think that's the name of the one that shoots out the wave of spikes, but more targeted. These spears strike your target location multiple times with blood stance, so you can get a little bit more single target damage out of blood stance, and sand stance gives you more of a AoE kind of thing. That sounds really cool, this blood stance and sand stance. Sounds a lot like blood stance right now is going to be the way to go to really get your single target damage out of the way, and you're going to be able to use sand stance to do a lot more of the clearing of the maps and stuff like that. So if you're in a boss fight at the end of the arena fight, you switch into blood stance, make sure you're doing consistent single target DPS to get that boss killed. And if you're in sand stance while you're working throughout the map, you'll be able to kill a lot more enemies in the AoE and keep that speed farm moving. Seems like they're getting both sides of that. Chain hook, here we go. Attack nearby enemies with a damaging shockwave. If used at a distance, release a chain that draws you closer to an enemy. Generate run rage when you hit an enemy. Requires a one-handed sword, mace, or axe. Again, pretty simple. Attack, throw your chain out. Whatever you hit, pull yourself to it. Generate rage. Pulverize. Supports melee attacks, causing them to deal more damage and with a greater area of effect, but with a slower attack speed. More damage, more AoE, less attack speed. Kinda cool. That's always the way that it seems to go. You find something that does more damage, but it attacks less frequently, or you can attack more frequently with less damage. Do you care about the hit, or do you care about the damage over time? Rage. Supports melee attacks, causing you to gain 1 rage when you hit an enemy with your supported skill, with a short exclusion timer on rage you gain from your support. Supported skills deal additional physical damage based on your rage, adding a significant amount of physical damage if your rage is above a threshold. So once you get your rage up there, you get a good amount of extra damage going. Sounds like it's not something that you're going to need if you have rage from the Berserker, but a way to get rage if you're not a Berserker. Sounds interesting. Right here. Impale. Sports attack. We've dealt with Impale before a little bit. Granting them a chance to impale enemies, increase the effects of impales caused by those attacks, and cause those attacks to deal more physical damage. The impale sort of before was something similar to that, where it seemed like an enemy you would hit would be impaled, and the next hit they would receive would get bonus damage, because that like impale was almost like a 2-part thing. You would impale them, and then that damage would proc on the next attack kind of thing. This also takes them more physical damage as well, from what it sounds like. Alright, Shockwave. Sports melee skills trigger a Shockwave skill on kill that deals attack damage in an area around the slain enemy. Restricts the use of supported skills to maces and staves. There was a miscommunication regarding the number of weapon-specific support gems when discussed on Bay Class earlier, and for that we apologize. Bay Class, I believe, is another external website for just theory crafting and stuff like that. So that does sound kind of cool, though. Supports melee skills. Trigger a Shockwave on kill that deals attack damage in an area around the slain enemy. Great way to just add some more AoE to something if you don't want to use melee splash. Shockwave might do lightning damage, might not, might just be all physical, or it could just do whatever type of damage based on the damage that kills the enemy in general. So sounds cool though that you'll be able to use that on something. I've turned into a very much Flicker Strike kind of guy. The new Rage with the tripled effects and the new crit that you can get makes a Terminus Est sound like a lot of fun to use on like a Berserker or something like that, and you can get that accuracy from that R we mentioned in Shockwave, something like that. Just go around and have that Shockwave on every enemy you kill, and if you're flickering all around the map, you can, you'll be... I tried the last season to do a cast on crit Ice Nova but it didn't quite work out, didn't quite have the damage but I also didn't have tons of late game gear. But it was fun to do. I love doing it. So this will be something cool to try. I'm probably going to try another Flicker Strike build this season. Come check out the stream if you like that kind of build. Whoop. Same kind of thing here. Close combat supports melee attacks, causing them to deal more damage to enemies based on their proximity. Also causes supported skills to grant a buff on hit, which increase attack and cast speed for the next travel skill you use. Restricts the use of supported skills to axes and swords. Again, miscommunication on Bay Class is what they said. That's not, like, again, to me, I just keep thinking Flicker Strike with these things. So you can use it with axes and swords. Terminus S is a sword. More damage based on the proximity. Flicker Strike is going to put you right on top of that dude. Which is going to probably max that out. And get a buff on hit, which increases the attack speed for the next travel skill you use. Which is going to, again, not even that, with the changes to Cyclone. I believe Cyclone is now a channeled build. We'll probably see a lot of cast on channeling Cyclone builds out there. But making your next attack you use increase your attack speed for something like Cyclone to help you move from pack to pack. Oh, here we go. 12 new. So that's all the new gems. We got 12 new unique items, one which was designed by our supporter, 14 new div cards, 18 new sextant modifiers. So that'll be cool. Sextants help modify the map mods. Rework 15 existing unique items. Only dropping monsters in the Legion Challenge League. That's right. Yeah. So from what I remember reading somewhere too, some of the unique items that were way common and just kind of crap, they've redone and gotten rid of or dropped the rates on them so much or something to that effect. But 15 redone unique items. So some of them lower ones that you would just never use, even when you would find them at like level like 5 or whatever. Maybe I'm speculating there, but crap you would find that just was like, this is not useful ever kind of thing. 15 new keystones to the passive skill tree, visible only when you have one of the new unique jewels introduced. The new jewels seem cool too. It sounds like they corrupt an area and alter jewel passive skills in an area, which will be cool. Let's look at minor content and features. Improve the early game experience. Fights in the first 3 acts will be tougher but more responsive. Sort of mentioned that earlier. Involved and dynamic. Yeah, so this includes fights against the basic monsters. That'll be fun. You can now queue skills by using one skill while another skill is in progress. That skill will be used immediately after the current skill is finished. We'll have to see how that works out, how clunky that feels, but I think that'll be very nice. That way, if you're in mid animation of a skill and you want to use like say you want to use cleave you want to use like a cleave attack and then a leap attack. So now the minute that cleave is finished, you will leap. Well, maybe not in that because you would be leaping to cancel out the animations, but something that you want to use cleave and then you want to use frost bomb or something. Rage is now displayed at the top left of the mana orb, so you can see exactly how much rage you have at any given time. That's nice. Added new functionality to the map stash tab, which displays which tiers and maps have elder or shaper influence. That's really cool. That excites me a lot. Let's read that again. Added new functionality to the map stash tab, which displays which tiers and maps have elder or shaper influence or an atlas objective. I've loved that. I've loved the map stash tab a lot. And I've late games when I'm just kind of free farming and I'm just kind of leveling up and I'm not paying too much attention to my map. I'm like, man, I'd love to just make sure I'm doing some elder or shapers to make sure to get some of those drop chances or to get some elder drops or some shaper drops. Now you can just go into your map stash tab and not have to go open up the atlas, look, go to your map. Do I have that map? No. Go back to the atlas, look. You can just look all of that in the map stash tab. That's really cool. Melee rebalances. Here we go. We made massive sweeping, excuse the pun, changes to melee combat. Many specific skills, but some are broad in all aspects. Hit multiple enemies. This I've heard about. Even Glacial Hammer can now hit multiple targets by default. Previously, an attack would look at targets in melee range in front of your character and choose one. Now it chooses all of them that attack physically passes through. Note that this is not area of effect, area damage, or melee splash. It's none of that. Animation canceling. So, let's just talk about the hit multiple enemies thing. So it's not melee splash, it's not area damage, it's not area effect. So it's not going to increase with any of that. But when you swing your mace on an attack or your weapon on an attack, it's going to hit the people right in front of you as it would more so feel in a real life situation. If I'm going to punch somebody in the face at a bar because I'm really wasted, and there's a crowd of people, I'm probably going to hit a couple people at the same time. Bad example. Don't hit people when you're drunk at the bar. Animation canceling. You can now interrupt a skill with a movement or movement skill. If you use a skill, any skill, not just an attack, you can now interrupt the animation before it finishes. If you do so before the point in the animation that the damage is dealt or a projectile is created, you will not deal damage. So you can actually screw yourself if you don't do it right. Small window before the point where you will be locked into the animation until the contact points. You won't actually prevent yourself from dealing damage by being overzealous with your movement. So there is a little bit. So there's a little bit of a catch there. Once you get close enough to the point of dealing damage, it's going to lock you into getting to the contact and damage point. To the contact and damage point of that animation, which is really cool. So you don't get a little too excited and cancel right before the damage hits and be like, well, shit. Animation cancel artificially speed up your rate of attacks. If you previously canceled an animation after the point, it would deal damage until the animation you have finished playing, meaning you can't animation cancel to artificially speed up your rate of attacks. You can use a skill immediately after canceling a previous one if you didn't have a chance to deal damage or produce a projectile. So that's a little complicated to read, but basically people would animate cancel. They're preventing people from canceling animations after the damage has been dealt to increase your attack speed by canceling the back half of your animation, so that you would be able to quick do the next one before you would if you were let the animation finish. Directional attacks. Many monsters now deal damage in specific areas in front of them when they attack, meaning you can avoid taking damage by sidestepping or moving away. Previously, monsters would deal damage to their target even if they had moved to the side. The area for most of these attacks is a 120-degree cone in front of them. So that's kind of nice. So that was like one, if you were to jump away from an enemy mid-swing, he would still kind of hit you and you would die teleported on the other half of the map. That's no longer. Attack signaling. Improve a lot of enemy signaling, so now you can visually see the wind-up for their big attacks that you can dodge, giving you an opportunity to respond with appropriate movement skills. Ooh. We've made enormous improvements targeting to how the skill target enemies and groups, which will result in more natural, do what you want it to experience. That's kind of cool. So just more, make targeting feel a little better some way. We'll have to see how that feels in game. Attack range signaling. Players attack now accurately signal their damage range via skill effects and trails. That was cool too. If you've seen any of the videos, your attack range is visually represented by the animation that you're looking at. Fluidity. Made a lot of changes to how animations work to allow changing targets while chaining before. Well, let me read that again. Made a lot of changes on how. We've made a lot of changes to how animations work to allow changing targets while chaining attacks back to back to look and feel much less clunky. A dual-wielding character will alternate attacks in a way that feels much more natural than previously and will make your offhand weapon choice more important. We've also updated pathing, which should allow for much smoother movements with your character. Reading that, I have to read that again to really process all that, but a lot of changes to how back-to-back attacks feel. So hitting multiple times on an enemy is just going to feel more fluid. And they've updated pathing, so running around is going to feel more fluid. I like it. It's something you'll probably have to feel out and you'll notice when you start playing, but not as bad. Actually, no longer capped at 95% chance to hit. Enough accuracy, an enemy will never be able to evade an attack, so you'll no longer have lone surviving monsters frustratingly taunting you unless you didn't get enough accuracy. So yeah, there'll be times where you could have, they had the actually capped at 95%. Some monsters, yeah, that's 5% margin to miss, no matter how much accuracy you had. That is no longer. Enemies with shields. Let's see this here. Enemies with shields can block attacks, but will only prevent a large portion of the incoming damage, rather than all of it. When an enemy blocks an attack, an effect will play. So, enemies can now block. Better feedback, new effects, and sounds allow you to more clearly identify who you have not hit with your pet. Who you have not hit with your attacks. That sounds all cool. That's a lot of the complex mechanics of how things work. Sounds like they've changed a lot to make it more fun to play, feels good, fluid, all that kind of stuff. Melee damage is now treated as having plus 25% damage for the sake of calculating stuns. Okay, so stuns are more prevalent on melee characters. Elemental and chaos damage now treated as having minus 25 damage for sake of stuns. This is additive with the melee damage stun bonus, so purely elemental or chaos makes non-physical melee hit will see no previous stun behavior. Okay, yeah, so if you're doing some elemental and some non-elemental, some physical and some non, that'd be plus 25 and minus 25, cancel each other out. But if you're doing pure physical, you have more chance to stun. If you're doing pure elemental, less chance to stun. As mentioned above, your chance to hit enemies with an attack is no longer capped at 95. Enough accuracy, you can guarantee a hit every time. We read that. In light changes, see above. Formula turns actuating and the chance to hit has been changed. Effects that split incoming damage from a specific damage type across mana and life, such as Mind of the Council, now also do this for damage over time or specific types. Few such effects could only do split damage from hits. So now damage over time. So Mind of the Council is kind of like a mind over matter kind of thing, I think, where now damage over time will pull life from your mana as well as from your health, as opposed to the hit coming from your mana. And then, so like if somebody were to make you bleed with a physical attack, that initial hit would come from mana and life, and then your bleed would come from your life pool, is what it sounds like. Never ran into any of that, so I can't really spectate or comment too much on it. Unarmed attack range of player characters has been increased, so your unarmed attack range of player characters is increased. I said it twice because I thought I read it wrong the first time. Projectiles are now treated as having smaller collision size with regards to terrain than monsters. This should alleviate the frustration of casting Freezing Pulse through a doorway and watching your projectiles vanish before hitting anything. That's cool. So if you're standing on a doorway and you're casting Freezing Pulse, it won't stop because the doorway is wide with its hitbox, as opposed to the enemies having a smaller hitbox. Your skills will have better going through doors and around other obstacles. Here's the skill reworks. Cyclone, now a channeling skill, really awesome. Now costs 2 mana at all gem levels. That's cool, so it's cheaper to use. Deals damage equal to and has added effectiveness of 44% at level 1 and 54 at level 20. A little nerf in its damage, but that's okay. Now adds 10 to 15 physical damage to attacks at level 1, up to 56 to 85 at level 20, so you get bonus fizz. Now gain standing stages as a channel up to a maximum of 3 at level 1 and 6 at level 20, and lose stages every 0.2 seconds while not channeling. Not sure what those stages will do, but imagine some sort of area effect or damage. Gains +1 melee range per stage. Oh, right there. So the longer you channel, the bigger you can attack. Now it's attack speed multiplier of 300%, previously a 50% more attack speed. That's cool, so it's going to attack, it's going to tick really fast. That'll be wild. Modifiers to melee attack range now also apply to this skill's area of effect, or area radius. So melee attack range now applies to this area radius. That's cool. So Cyclone, going to be really cool. Lacerate, previously slashed the air twice, dealing damage in 2 overlapping area effects, with the possibility that the enemies in the overlapping areas will hit by both. So it used to hit cone here, and that overlapping area in the middle, they could get hit by both. Now has different behavior depending on whether you are in stand or blood stance. Blood stance, but you are in blood stance by default. While in blood stance, 25% chance to cause bleeding and causes you to deal 50% more damage with bleeding at level 1 to 88% at level 20. And in stand stance, it increases the width of the slash areas by 50%. Now deals base damage equal to and has added damage effectiveness of 100% at level 1 from 60 and 123 at level from 74. So, big buffs. Big buffs there. That sounds pretty cool. Almost double the damage. More like 70% increased damage. Now it's added 5 to 8 physical damage to attacks, up to 75 into 113 at level 20. So you just bonus physical added on there. And now has attack speed multiplier of 60. So it's going to hit faster. This is all really cool. Lacerate sounds freaking cool now too. No longer makes you immune to physical damage for duration. Sorry, Immortal Call. No longer makes you immune to physical damage for duration. What does it do then? Base duration now 1 second at all gem levels. Now it's instant cast time. Now causes you to take 25% less elemental damage and 25% less physical damage at level 1, with the values growing based on the gem level up to 34% less elemental damage and 35% less physical. So it just reduces the damage you take as opposed to making you immune. Not as cool, but still is going to help you be a little tankier, but we'll see how that feels. Now consumes endurance charges up to a maximum of 5, causing you to take 15% less physical per endurance charge consumed for the buff's duration. Increase the duration of the buff by 20% for each endurance charge consumed. So, endurance charges consumed up to a max of 5, causing you to take 15% less physical damage per endurance charge. So if you had 3, that would be 45 on top of the 25 that it will grant naturally. So that would be 80? 80% less damage? 45 and 25? 70% less damage. Right? Yeah. Right? Holy smokes, my math is hurting. 45, 25. 70. Like I said, holy smokes, that's hard for me to do. Anyway, so you get 4 endurance charges, and you're probably at, you're almost at 100% damage reduction there. You have 5, and you're going to take. So Mortal Call is now more based on, is more helpful if you have endurance charges and less helpful if you don't have endurance charges. That's kind of cool, because it kind of was like a staple. Everybody used to use the Mortal Call. It seemed like everybody had a Mortal Call on their bar because you were immune to physical damage, even if it was only for a short duration. You could end up using it or having it cast on damage taken to shell you from some free damage. It would just protect you from free damage. Molten Shell, let's go into there. Now it's base duration of 3 seconds at all levels. Grants 50 additional armor at level 1, up to 858 at level 20. So it's a little lower than it was, but a little higher at the beginning. So it's cut back on both sides. Now creates a buff that can take damage equal to 20% of your armor. Okay. Now causes 75% of the damage from the hit from your buff before your life ran into your shield. Oh, causes the damage to be taken from your buff before your life ran into shield. Now reflects 100% of the damage taken from the buff as fire damage when the buff expires or is depleted at level 1 up to 1050 at level 20. That was a 4-second cooldown from 1. So you can't have it up as often. And it shares it with other guard skills such as Steel Skin and Immortal Call. So you can't have Immortal Call and Steel Skin and Molten Shell all going off at the same time. So it's kind of you choose one. Shield Charge deals damage in a cone rather than a circle on impact. It's kind of cool. Now bashes when used against the target at very close range. that's kind of cool too. So it doesn't seem like at close range you're going to be sort of traveling in place where you just moving a little bit, just ticking across the screen a little. I think it sounds like it's actually going to just be an attack when you're right on them. Can now be used with wands. Interesting. Wonder if you'd be using a wand and a sword, or maybe just to help increase the movement skills that they've been trying to make movement skills more prevalent and more easily attainable, so everybody can have one, especially with the dodging of big wind-up damages that they've been talking about. Now we use a wand. Now deals damage equal to and added effectiveness. Not too worried about all that. Increased stun threshold. 150% more damage with hits at max charge distance. That's cool. Down from 200. A little nerfed, but I don't think anybody was doing shield charge as a damaging skill. Grants 90% increased movement speed during the attack at level 1 from 75 and 109 at level 20. So a little bit increased movement speed with it. And has a mana cost increased by 2 from 8 to 10. Now getting 1% increased movement speed per 1% gem quality. Okay, so more quality, move faster. That's cool. Adds critical strike per maximum energy shield. Base offhand critical strike is 5%. Adds 0.1% to critical strike chance per 10 maximum energy shield on the shield itself. Deals increased base offhand physical damage at level 1 up to 132 at 198. Up to 132 to 198 at level 20. So it has bonus damage there. Adds physical damage per 15 armor or evasion. Evasion on it? Ugh, I'm having a hard time speaking so much today. I'm so sorry, guys. So yeah, having energy shield increases the crit chance of it. Having evasion or armor on it increases the physical damage on the shield charge. That's kind of cool. So if you're doing like a cast on crit shield charge, having that energy shield, you would probably be somewhere in that realm on the passive tree, or being like an elementalist or something like that anyway, or a trickster where you would be having energy shield probably on your shield as it is. Help give a little bit more in there. Skill balance. Physical is now a skill type and will now appear at the appropriate gems as tags. That's cool. Strike is now a type as well. Appears on items which do not have the area of effect but can still hit multiple targets. Essentially all the previously single target skills now have this tag. This is used to determine which skills some supports, such as melee splash support, can now support. So melee splash will now support striking as opposed to things that already do. Like melee splash is not going to support cleave. Cleave hits an area in front of you. Think about like dual strike hits strikes. It's a dual strike is a strike, which could have melee splash on it. Guard is the same type, appears on Mortal Call. We sort of just went over that. All melee skills now have attack speed multiplier built into the gem. This is functionality identical to the effects of more attack speed or less attack speed stat lines that were previously on some gems. Following skill gems now considered travel skill gems and have the travel tag. Blink Arrow, Body Swap, Flame Dash, Leap Slam, Lightning Warp, Phase Run, Shield Charge, Smoke Mine, Vol Lightning Warp, and Whirling Blades. So they're just a new tag for the movement skills called Travel. And the following skills are now considered guard skills and have the cooldown, like we said, Immortal Call, Molten Shell, and Steel Skin. Let me get a quick drinky water here. My mouth's drying out. All melee attacks now apply a visual to your weapon as you swing to better illustrate. We've talked about that, making it more easy to see the range of weapons when you watch the visual animation go. Most, if not all, attacks and spells now accurately signal their area of effect, including any increase or reductions. Minion targeting is now less weird if using a movement skill while also channeling. Okay. Specific skills. Quite a few melee skills have their base attack speed lowered slightly and their base damage raised. This is due to the increase in effective clear speed from the introduction of animation canceling, whereby you can start moving to the next pack or monsters before your attack would otherwise have ended. Read that again. So yeah, like they talked about before, to stop people from doing funny animation cancelings. Hey, kitty cat. Test Protector, not too worried about a lot of these. These are all have... If you want to go through all these, you can. I might go through these later, depending on what kind of builds I want to do. But like Tectonic Slam, now be a stamina equal to as an effective damage of 170, up from 130. So like just changes in all the skills a little bit. And Vol skill reworks, and support gem reworks. So like here's that example. Melee Splash has been reworked, now supports strikes. Now creates a melee splash for each enemy hit. If your strike hits multiple enemies, you can also hit each other each with their overlapping splashes. So if you use like Ancestral Call Sport, which makes a strike hit 2 additional enemies, you could hit up to 3 enemies, so like 3. And then that melee splash from this guy and this guy could both overlap, and this guy in the middle could get melee splashed twice. basically what that's saying. Fortify, Ruthless, Fuse Channeling, blah, blah, blah. A lot of stuff in here to look at. I'm not going to go over all this stuff. A lot of these passive tree balances, I might put out a video next week when, or tomorrow when I look at the Path of Building. Open that up, and you can kind of look and see some of these new changes here. And the Ascendancies have a lot of changes. Not a whole lot to cover here. Let's look at some of the Ascendancy stuff while we're here. Slayer, kind of already been out there, so you've probably already seen how Slayer works. Gladiator, small passives no longer grant 5 increased attack speed one-handed and grant now 4% increased attack speed, regardless of weapon. New Gladiator notable. Arena Challenger, grant 2% more attack and movement speed per challenge or charge. We sort of seen this one already before. Chance to gain when you hit and kill, and you get one when you kill, and chance when you hit a rare or unique to get a Gladiator charge. Challenger charge. Champion, inspirational, now causes banners you create to gain 40% of the stages you placed from 20%. First strike, last to fall, now causes you to recover 25% of maximum life when you gain adrenaline. 30% increased attack speed with unstoppable. Not a lot there. Juggernaut, unyielding, now grant 8% increased damage per endurance charge, up from 5%, and 6% increased area of effect, up from 5%. So, a little bit more damage, a little bit more area of effect from Juggernaut. Berserker, this has all been already out there, so you've probably already seen this. And same with Chieftains out there. Cultist, Wicked Ward has been removed. Vile Bastion no longer requires any Ascendancy notables. Now grants 1% of energy shield regeneration per second for each enemy you or your minions have killed, up to 10% for a maximum of 30%. So that was already there. You just no longer need to go through other stages of the Ascendancy to get to it. Each of the small passive on the Occult of Ascendancy now grants 6% increased energy shield, up from 8. So slightly less energy shield to get attained there. Elementalist, Beacon of Ruin, no longer causes elemental ailments from your skills to spread to other nearby enemies. Shocks from your hits now always increase damage taken by 20%, or by 15 from 20. So I'm not quite sure what else Beacon of Ruin did, other than that, other than just giving chance to do, I think, Ignite, or Shock, or Freeze, / Chill. Guardian, each of the small passives on the Guardian Ascendancy tree now grant 5% increased energy shield. Trickster, Ghost Dance now causes you to gain a Ghost Shroud every 2 seconds, up from 1. Escape Artist now grants 10% chance to dodge hits from the spell damage while you have Energy Shield. And that's up, so that's cut in half from 20. And 6% increased attack and cast speed per Ghost Shroud from 12%. But you gain, yeah, so a little bit of a nerf there, it looks like, but nothing crazy. Deadeye, Fast and Deadly now grants 50% more accuracy rating. 50% more accuracy rating where it previously doubled your accuracy rating. Could be nice, could be not nice. The doubling your accuracy rating might made it too easy to get that 100% hit chance, so 50% more is still a massive buff, but it might scale better from early game to late game as well. Where doubling 10 to 20 at level 1, or not even, I don't know what the numbers would be, but doubling your accuracy rating at level, whenever you get that first Ascendancy or whatever, somewhere in your 30s to 50s, could be a lot more beneficial early than it would help out late. It wouldn't matter as much late compared to the 50% that you would get. So could be just more consistent across the game there. Ascendant, this will be kind of cool. Ascendant Berserker now grants rage on hit with a maximum rate of 1 rage every 0.3 seconds acquired this way. Also grants 15% more damage from 10%. Ascendant Chieftain now has a 20% chance to apply covered in ash, up from 10%, and 40% increased fire damage. Ascendant Champion now has 20% chance to impale with attacks. Okay. And Ascendant Gladiator no longer grants cause bleeding. No longer grants chance to cause bleeding instead of 15% chance to block. Does not require another source of block. And 10% chance to blind on hit with attacks. Does not require that the enemy be bleeding. So that's kind of cool. So you don't have to make them bleed to blind. And you can get 15% chance of block. So no longer has chance to cause bleeding. Instead has 15% chance to block. Does not require another source of block. So you can just block, it looks like, whether you have a shield or don't have a shield. Come on. This cat is clawing into my hips, guys. A lot of items. So here we said before, low-level melee weapons. Whoops. Had their base attack speeds raised and their damage lowered to compensate. Following staves can no longer roll. A lot of stuff going on here that is very, very unique to somebody who would like to know that thing, so I'm not going to go over a lot of that. Same here with unique item. The following items no longer drop outside of the Legion Challenge League. Versions dropped in Legion will have new modifiers and balances, which won't be spoiling here. Bearing changes that affect existing versions will be outlined. Air keys, that's not General Darkscorn. All Dilly, Evolves Protectors, Hard Divine, blah blah blah. So yeah, just some stuff. So like one that I'm gonna think of here. So you can update all things to the new versions with the Divine Orb. Trying to think of something that here that I know of that I could easily know the before to the after. Yeah, I don't know any of these off the top of my head that I could be like, oh, I remember what that did to know what it does now. But looks like they're all just getting accuracy buffs as opposed to whatever they were doing before. Change the Legion theme unique changes to Legion themed unique items that affect existing items. Again, some real technical pinpoint stuff for certain builds, certain items that I'm not going to get too in detail with. World changes. Acts 1, 2, and 3 have been significant. Acts 1, 2, and 3 have been significant improvements to monsters and boss encounters. We won't ruin the fun of discovering them, so be careful out there. You no longer hear a crying woman in Act 7 crossroads, tempting you towards non-existent story glyphs. Cool. Never noticed that. Magic monsters have 50% more life at level 1, up to 75 at 68, so just more life on enemies. That's cool. Tormented spirits are now more likely to appear near a rare or unique monster than not. Kind of cool. So when you find a pack and the tormented spirit's not like finding a tormented spirit in a white mob that doesn't get benefits, really. Rogues exiles no longer sound identical to their player exile counterparts. That's nice. Nothing too much here. Map changes. Zana map changes. Just new prices for the Zana map mods. Quest rewards, PvPs, and recently added Shock Nova. The ring now deals 50% less damage from 80% damage, and the ring is now closer to the center of the Nova. Glacial Hammer now has 155% damage effectiveness at level 1 from 140, up to 200% effectiveness at level 20 from 182. So a little less, or a little more damage there for the damage effectiveness added from Glacial Hammer. Now gets plus 2 melee range at level 1, up from 0, and up to 4 at level 20 from 2. So basically doubles. Up to every third successive strike now freezes enemies if it were dealing 200% more damage at gem level 1, up to 390% at level 2. Previously stated it was 500% at all levels. That's kind of cool. I've always wanted to do a cool Glacial Hammer build, and having the ability to every third successive strike now freezes enemies as if it were dealing 200% more damage at level 1, up to 390 at level 20. Previously it was 500 at all levels, but having 3 hits in a row, I didn't know that before. I haven't played with it where the third hit will now freeze an enemy. Glacial Hammer has a built-in cull on it. If you hit an enemy that is below a third life, as far as I know, did not change. Hitting an enemy below 1/3 life while they were frozen will instantly shatter them and kill them. So I'm going to leave that off there. I can put links for this stuff for both of these here. I'll put them in the description for the video, so you can just click on them there rather than going through the whole Path of Exile website. And be sure to come check out the Twitch if you want to see more of this stuff come out. I will be playing on Sunday, which will be, let's look at the date here. The June 7th is when the league comes out. Friday, I will play for sure on the 9th, sometime around 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you all for watching the video. Hopefully you liked it. Hopefully you could just get excited like I did about some stuff and just have a quick read through of the notes if you needed to be. I sometimes like to put these kind of videos on in the background when I'm doing work at my computer or something like that, so I can just have somebody read through it for me so I can sort of pay attention to it in one ear while doing work in the other. Not your style. Sorry if it is. Thank you very much, and you know what to do. Thank you all. Have a great day.